They laughed at the 80-year-old man at the department without knowing who he really was. For a while now, Ivanovich, an 80-year-old grandfather, could not sleep because his next-door neighbours were making such loud noises and disturbing the whole neighbourhood at night. He decided to confront his neighbours about their actions. What the old man did not expect was that his neighbours would laugh at him and disrespect him. They didn't know who he really was at the time. Today's video tells an interesting story of how the old man was finally heard. Greetings everyone, and welcome to our channel. Today, we will talk about an 80-year-old man who turned out to be the father of a hero. As always, before we begin, make sure to press the like button and subscribe to the channel so that we can bring you more interesting stories like this. If you don't want to miss out on a single one of our uploads, press the bell button to be notified whenever we post a new story. The old man, after constantly hearing noises from the house next door for some months now, decided to go there and tell them that they were worrying him. When he knocked on the door, a terribly drunk lady in revealing clothes opened the door and asked him what he wanted. Pyotr Ivanovich told the lady that he could not get any rest because she and her friends were making annoying loud noises at 2 a.m. This young lady smiled and started mocking the old man. To make matters worse, she called her husband Alexander and informed him of what the old man had said. Alexander, who was also very drunk, told the old man that they were free to celebrate in whichever way they desire. They both started laughing at the old man. "We have guests waiting for us. Leave," Alexander told Ivanovich. The old man told them that they should at least wait till morning before making such noises. Alexander then invited him inside and asked him to join the merrymaking. He could only look and shake his head at them in disbelief. The couple closed the door and went back to having their fun. The grandfather went back to his house and became very sad as he thought about how the couple treated him. They didn't take him seriously because he was a weak old man who could not do anything to them. Ivanovich started thinking about how he could take a permanent action against them. He had had enough of their constant misbehaviour. The old man went to the police to file his complaint. However, the police inspector felt the old man was trying to stop people from having fun because he was lonely and couldn't have fun. Ivanovich became very sad and annoyed after hearing this, and he went back to a lonely life. However, this wasn't always so. The old man was once married to a lovely woman called Natasha. She passed away 20 years ago, but he lived with her for more than 35 years. He adored his wife very much. The couple gave birth to a son named Sergei. Sergei was very smart and would have become a very successful person. Much to the disappointment of his father, Sergei joined the army, where he perished in the war. The couple was disheartened to learn about the passing of their only son, no matter how many people told them about his bravery of their son. To them, they had lost a child. The old man had a hard time getting over the loss of his child. Even from a young age, Sergei loved the army and always used to tell his parents that he would become a prominent person in the army one day. Sergei did well in both his studies and sports. After he reached the desired age, he joined the military academy and was very joyful. The couple was happy because their son was achieving all his dreams. Despite their happiness, they knew that their son's life would be in continuous danger in the army. They always advised him to be careful, but Sergei told them not to worry. Natasha was always scared that something would happen to her only son, but her husband assured her that their son would go into the history books. He reminded her of his father, who was a well-recognized officer in the Russian army. He hoped that his son would one day become like his father. What used to worry them that Sergei joined the army during the time of the Afghanistan wars. Because of this, they'd always check up on their son, who would tell them that all was well. After some time, a war broke out and the Russian army stopped communication and would only allow the exchange of letters. Sadly for the couple, they started receiving only one letter from Sergei every 3 months, in which he told his parents he was fine, but there was no new development. While the old man and his wife were waiting for news from their son, a Russian army officer came to their house and informed them that Sergei had passed away in the war. The officer offered his condolences to the couple and told them that Sergei was a brave officer who did a lot of heroic things for the Russian army and the country. He said that the Russian army was very proud of him. All this praise for their son fell on deaf ears, because the couple could not believe that their only son, whom they loved so much, was gone forever. The body of Sergei was given to Peter and Natasha. They buried him quietly in the cemetery and went back to their lives. Natasha could not hold her grief. No matter how much Peter tried to console her, she wept for days. The Russian army came back and awarded the medals Sergei had received during the time in the army. The couple tried to live without their son. They were making some steady progress until Natasha fell ill and died. Peter decided not to remarry and live comfortably off the pension. He spent his time caring for both the little children and the garden in the neighbourhood. He was living a quiet and pleasant life until his new neighbours moved in with their hysterical, loud noises. The noise kept Peter awake and restless all night. The old man repeatedly went to the police station to complain about the noise, yet nothing changed. One day, he decided to go and bring the police to witness the noise themselves. As soon as he stepped into the station, he was welcomed by a police receptionist who asked him what he wanted. Peter told the police officer that he wanted them to come along and warn his neighbours about the noise they keep making. However, the police officer told his colleagues what the old man had said, and they started laughing. The old man then demanded to speak to the police inspector immediately. The police officer told him that the inspector was not in the station and he would have to wait for him. Peter waited for 2 hours before the inspector arrived. He was ushered into his office. He told the inspector about his plight, but the inspector had had a long day and tried to get him to leave. According to the inspector, as long as his neighbours did not violate any rules, they could have the fun they wanted. Peter would not leave until he was heard. He pleaded with the inspector to do something because he'd been having restless nights ever since the new neighbours moved in. The inspector asked him to go, but he still refused. Peter became very anxious and he fell to the ground. The inspector then approached him to check if everything was all right or if he needed to be called an ambulance. However, the old man assured him he was fine and that he was only needing to take his medication. He was only dizzy. The old man put his hand in his pocket to retrieve his medicine. Whilst doing that, a pitcher fell from his pocket onto the floor. Peter Ivanovich did not notice, but the inspector did. He took the pitcher from the floor and returned it to the old man. When he glanced at the pitcher, he took a seat and kept holding it. He asked the old man about the person in the pitcher. Peter told him that the man is the picture of his dead son. The inspector, in disbelief, asked the old man if he was certain that the picture was of his son. The grandfather told him that indeed was his son, who died in the war whilst in the army. The police inspector told Peter that he knew his son quite well. Sergei was a lieutenant while he was a soldier under his command. The inspector could not stop talking about the brave lieutenant. On the day Sergei died, he was in charge of 10 soldiers. They were going on a reconnaissance mission. Whilst the men slept, Sergei was awake guarding the tent. He heard a noise and hurried with his weapon to check what it was. He witnessed an enemy throwing a grenade at the tent they occupied. Another officer might have run away. However, the young lieutenant covered the grenade with his body. When it exploded, the 10 men were saved from any harm. The inspector told the old man that he had fond memories of Sergei and owed his life to him. Even the police officer at the front desk was one of the men Sergei saved that night. The 2 officers let Peter know that they would always remember what his son did for them. They assured him that they would take care of his loud neighbours as soon as possible. To catch his neighbours in the act, the 2 policemen planned to come to Peter's house in the evening. True to their word, they came at 10 p.m. that night. When they came, they heard the loud noises that Peter's neighbours were making. They entered the house and asked them to stop playing the music at once. Alexander and his wife were suddenly terrified at the presence of the officers and stopped everything they were doing. The two police officers asked the couple to report themselves at the station the next day. The next day, they went to the police station and met the old man and the two officers. The police inspector warned the couple that if they ever worried the old man again, he would imprison them. He told them who Peter Ivanovich and his son Sergei were and what they had done for the Russian army. All the police officers at the department were in awe of this old man. Eventually, Alexander and his wife turned over a new leaf. They gave birth to a son, who they always left with Peter whenever they were busy. Peter was very happy with that because he always wanted to be a grandfather. However, his life did not go as planned. For now, Peter is content with his life as he always goes to care for the garden with the little child in tow. This is the end of today's video. What do you think about the story? Let us know in the comments section. Also, don't forget to like and share this video with your friends and family. Before you go, subscribe to our channel and press the bell button to stay updated. Thanks for watching and see you next time.